gentlemen, welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a live Manchester United news, transfer news and update show. Liam Delap. Can we please ignore, honestly, what the journalists are saying on Liam Delap right now until Romano or Ornstein or Laurie Whitwell or someone of strong credibility gives us an update which says Liam Delap has made his decision. He has picked this club. Every bit of information that comes out on Liam Delap now is boring. He's leaning towards this club. He's leaning towards that club. We don't care who he's leaning towards. We only care when he's made a decision. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about maybe Luke Shaw later in today's show. Whoa. Right, I've just sent this quote. Let me just read out what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Hojlund potential loan exit, the Embuemo race. Reports coming out. I don't think that it's the most credible reports, but Man United could be ready to make a bid for Ekitike. If we don't get Delap, we move for Ekitike. I don't know if we're going to make a bid for him, but apparently we're interested in making a bid for him. I'm not sure where the money's coming from. Amarin in a position where Rashford may have to come back as well. Interesting. Due to financials. Cherki blow, Manchester City making a move. Bruno exit latest, Bramthwaite, Betty's playing games with Anthony, but sorry, I've just seen like this second the Amarin quote on Garnacho. I assume it's real. Is it? I mean, it's a good outlet. Apparently, this I was about to talk about the news, and this is why I went oh. I've just seen this quote from Amarin. Amarin said, "You better pray that you can find a club to sign you to Alejandro Garnacho in the aftermath of the events surrounding the Europa League final." That is brutal. Like, that is him saying, you are done. If you don't find a club, I ain't playing you. He's saying, you better pray you can find a club to sign. That is brutal. Like, brutal. That isn't like, you're gone, you're out, go find a new club. That is, you better pray you can find a new club, because no matter what happens, you are done. He is done. Amarin is... I mean, look, this isn't the first incident between Garnacho and Amarin. There was obviously the incident that happened back in November, which resulted in him being dropped for the Manchester derby. Apparently, he was walking away from Amarin when Amarin spoke to him. There's incidents with him and his brother liking things and putting things online. Look, he can't control his brother at the end of the day, but maybe his brother was influenced by Garnacho, some would say, and maybe Garnacho could do more. But at the end of the day, his brother is a different person to him. But Amarin, that is brutal. Like, wow. Like, what? But to be honest, you can tell Amarin was peed off with those comments. Look, I don't think Garnacho said anything wrong in the sense of he stated facts. We have been crap. He should have played more than 20 minutes. He was right, but you can't say that. When you're Alejandro Garnacho, you know, you can't say that. If you're Cristiano Ronaldo, you can say that. But even if you're Cristiano Ronaldo, it's disrespectful to the club and the manager. And I don't think Garnacho said anything wrong in terms of the facts, but he can't say what he said. And Ruben Amorim, we saw Rashford on the bench for 10 games before he left. You know, Garnacho's been told he better pray for a new club. So for me, that pretty much looks like it is 100% the end for Garnacho. The United Stand reported the day after the Europa League final, it is the end for Garnacho. A couple hours later, it came out that Garnacho, by Ornstein, have been told he can leave. Romano, everybody has said, look, it's the end for Garnacho. And we now know from Ornstein he's been told he can find a new club. But the minute after that Europa League final, when Amarin watched about that interview, I think he basically told Garnacho, it's the end, you were gone. You will not play again. Garnacho's not going to play for Man United again. Those 20 minutes in the Europa League final was the last time he played for Man United, which is a shame. He doesn't get a send-off or anything, but when you act like that, you can't earn yourself that send-off, really. We're going to dive into some news. We're going to dive into some stories because there is obviously some updates coming out in regards to Marcus Rashford and his future. Could he be brought back? Now, I'm going to be straight off the bat here before we even get into those stories and say, well, considering what's just gone on with Garnacho, I very much doubt that Ruben Amorim is going to let Rashford back. Although there could be financial pressure to allow him to do that. I do think we will get a 40 million sale for Rashford, but we're going to talk about that situation. We're going to talk about rumours of Man United lining up a bid for Ekitike. I don't know where we're getting the finances from. Cherki to Manchester City, Hojlund loan, Liam Delap. We're going to talk about like all the other stories going about, but it's very obvious. Man United want a proper clear out. Man United know we need to get this guy gone, we need to get this guy gone, we need to get this guy gone. Man United are saying we're not in Europe next season, we don't need as big of a squad, and United are trying to use that to potentially fuel a clear out, which, you know what? Go for it. We need a clear out. I'm all for fueling a clear out. Absolutely. Go for it. So, should we start with this first story on Liam Delap? Because I'm fed up of it. So, we get one source say, Manchester United are optimistic that the signing of Liam Delap will work out. The decision is up to him. So one source is saying United are basically optimistic that Liam Delap will pick them. Another source is saying that Chelsea are now confident that they will beat United to the signing of Delap. Yesterday, we had about 3 sources saying that United are winning the race for Delap, and about 3 different sources saying that Chelsea are winning the race for Delap. We know Everton are there, we know Newcastle there. People are underplaying Newcastle and Everton's interest. I don't think it's Delap goes United and Chelsea and Newcastle and Everton have got no chance. I think Newcastle and Everton are well within that race. I think he will go to Chelsea. I think the media's downplaying the Newcastle links and the Everton links because Man United didn't. Obviously, Chelsea are going to get more clicks. But you know, some sources saying Delap Man United, some sources saying Delap Chelsea because they don't know anything and they're just guessing. What's he more likely to pick? Oh, I think he's more likely to pick Chelsea. So I'm going to say he's favouring Chelsea. You don't know that. Nobody knows that. He's not made a decision. Hopefully he makes a decision soon because I'm getting bored. That is all you need to know on Liam Delap, people. That is all you need to know on Liam Delap. Let's dive into some more news and stories. So, United and Newcastle want Mbeumo this summer. Considering we've beat Newcastle to Cunha, I think Newcastle will be pretty serious when it comes to getting Mbeumo. I think that Mbeumo is perfect for Eddie Howe. I think Mbeumo is perfect for Newcastle. And I think Newcastle surely will move serious. They've got rid of Paul Mitchell. They weren't happy with him. I think Newcastle could be real competition for Mbeumo. There's rumours of Arsenal. There's rumours of Liverpool. But they've got Saka and Salah. I think Newcastle is going to be the real competition in the race for Bryan Mbeumo. I think a lot of other clubs maybe need a left winger more than a right winger, whereas we need a right winger with Cunha coming in. You don't have to cover Delap if you don't want to, Alice. He's not coming to us anyway. Well, he might come to us. The thing is, I cover everything that's been said in the media. No matter how big or small the story is, I try and cover everything that's been said in the media, but I also give you my opinion on it. And I just don't think the Delap stories are really worth much of my coverage right now until we get anything that's actually new and anything that actually could be considered a breakthrough. The Amrin Garnacho quote has now been tweeted by Romano. Not sure that it really adds more authenticity, but certainly interesting. Yeah, I mean, Romano wouldn't be tweeting it if it was fake. So we know that there's some it's real. It's not good for Man United that's got out. It's really not good for Man United that's got out, though, because we want to sell Garnacho. We want 60 million for Garnacho. The fact that it's now coming out that Amrin said you've got to pray you find a new club. If we want 60 million for Garnacho, instantly he's £50 million because they're okay, they're desperate to sell. Because Man United were holding out in January because we couldn't sell him in January. We'd lost Rashford, we'd lost Anthony, we're not in a position to sell him. We've lost all power. We've lost this whole, the Garnacho is a part of our future plans. We don't want to sell him power to get more money. Now we're going to have to sell Garnacho on the cheap. So, look, while Ruben Amorim is doing the cultural reset and the cultural reset he's needed to do and maybe adding standards and a brutal discipline that a lot of the players need, the fact that it's come out, I guess, is worrying in terms of the transfer negotiation side of things. But it was brutal. I mean, that quote is absolutely brutal from Ruben Amorim, isn't it? Absolutely brutal. Alice, are you sleeping or are you talking? Do you know what? I don't know. I fall asleep. I don't know what it is, but when it gets to about 5 o'clock, my brain shuts off. And then when it gets to about 8 o'clock at night, I'm wired. I don't know what it is with me. I always get really tired around 5, 6 o'clock and then I'm wired again. What is our target for next season? I don't have a clue what the club is trying to do. Not get relegated, try and get back in the top 6 is the target. Do you think we could get money for Anthony? Yes, we will talk about that at the end of the show. I think Betis are just, yeah. I'm dreaming of that Gyökeres signing would be an upgrade, but I think missing out on Champions League was a huge blow. I agree. Hopefully Amrin and the board could convince him. I agree. I think it will be more likely be Delap, but I'm not even that confident we get Delap with Chelsea in there. Newcastle in there as well. Apparently, we only gave 5 million for Alvaro. Interesting. Where did you see that? I'd like to be able to get 12, 13 million for him because then it's pure profit as well. So you're looking at, that giving us a bit to spend. But knowing Man United, their clause will be nowhere near as good as we thought it was. knowing Man United, and probably only get a little bit of money for it. I mean, Alvaro, selling him for peanuts. He's playing for us right now. Alvaro, we sold for peanuts. Dean Henderson, we sold for peanuts. Alanga. We probably could have got 5 million more for Alanga. We could have got 10 million more from McTominay. The only real good sale we've made is Dan James. The only sale we've made where we're like, yeah, that was good business, I think, post Sir Alex Ferguson, was Dan James. I think we got like nearly 30 million for Dan James, who's had a very good season for Leeds, but he was never going to make it at United. Alvaro ends up at Real, just highlights how silly he was. Yeah. Or and the one thing I'm going to say is, look at Lewis Hall. Now, Lewis Hall is an incredible left back, but Alvaro was wanted by Real Madrid, so Alvaro is also an incredible left back. Chelsea sold Lewis Hall, I think, for 30 million or 35 million pounds. Lewis Hall price. So Lewis Hall was sold for 30 million quid. Alvaro Fernandez, how much did Alvaro cost Benfica? We're looking at about 5 million. So Chelsea, look, Lewis Hall is, for me, is an unbelievable player. And it's hard for me to say Alvaro was better than Lewis Hall because I've not watched a lot of Benfica, and Benfica is very different to the Premier League. So Lewis Hall is still better than Alvaro. But Chelsea getting 30 million for a young left-back in Lewis Hall and us getting 5 million for a young left-back in Alvaro just tells you the difference in the two clubs when it comes to selling. Lewis Hall was always going to go more for more than Alvaro, especially with him being English. But if Chelsea got 30 million for Lewis Hall, we should have put 20 million on Alvaro. We should have put a 20 million price tag on Alvaro. We've let him go for 5 million, which is peanuts. Chelsea would have got 20 million for him. You know, Man City would have got 20 million for him. And that's what annoys me about Man United when it comes to selling. Like, why are we so bad at selling sometimes? We had Amrabat playing at left back sometimes and let Alvaro go during that time. Do you know what? You're absolutely right. The worst thing about it wasn't even like we had Luke Shaw and Malacia fit and there was no game time for him. We had Lindelof play games at left back. We had Amrabat play games at left back. And, you know, because we thought Luke Shaw was going to be reliable and come back, and we thought Malacia might be back this season because the medical team got it so wrong. And I think people need to talk about how wrong the medical team got it. We were like, yeah, we'll let Alvaro go, the only left back who had a very good loan spell. I mean, look, Ten Hag talent ID was crap. Ten Hag would have sold Ahmad and played Forson. Ten Hag wanted to get rid of Alvaro, but that's on Ineos as well. You know, there was a left-back crisis. The medical team got it wrong and said that Luke Shaw and Malacia will be available soon. So we thought, yeah, we'll take the £5 million in pure profit for Alvaro and shove it in our pockets, Ineos. Yeah, it was embarrassing from Manchester United, wasn't it? Only making 5 million. 50% sell-on clause. Well, I'm hoping it's a 50% sell-on clause, but knowing Manchester United, it's 50% of anything over 20 million, which means if they get 30 million for him, we'll get 5 million. I'm hoping it's 50%, and if he goes for 30 million quid, we get 15 million, and then all of a sudden, okay, we've made 20 million out of it, and it's better business. But it's not a good look for Manchester United, is it? Anyway, let's get into more news and stories. So there has been some more talk about Inter looking at Hojlund. He's also been linked to Juventus and Napoli. It was said today that Inter fully support a move for Rasmus Hojlund. Manager Simone Inzaghi is a big fan of the striker's profile, but I'm going to add that there's reports that he's going to go to Al Hilal. So I don't know if that really matters in regards to... I don't know if that really matters in regards to what Inzaghi thinks if he goes to Al Hilal. But the ownership remain confident of his long-term potential. And I will tell you this now, all the Italian clubs think that there's a really good player in Hojlund, and there's a lot of interest in him in Italy because he did well in Italy in his first season, and they know what Man United's like. They've looked at McTominay, they'll look at Anthony, they know what Man United's like, and a lot of teams will take that risk on Hojlund because his wages are low as well. So the club want to pursue initial loan with option to buy. Now, Manchester United obviously want 40 million for Hojlund. We want 40 million to sell Hojlund. His book value is just under 40 million pounds, so that's why we're asking for that amount. It's unknown if anyone would be willing to pay that amount. One report suggested Juventus could be willing to pay 40 million for Hojlund. They see his long-term value and worth, but it wasn't said by a tier one outlet. A lot of suggestions is a lot of teams are looking at loans with option to buy or loans with obligations to buy. It's not known if Man United are open to it. It's not actually been said by a good source that United are open to selling Hojlund. All that's been said by good sources is Manchester United are weighing up whether they should sell Hojlund or not. So we haven't even had a reliable source say Hojlund's up for sale. I mean, I'd assume Hojlund's up for sale because while Ineos see long-term potential in Hojlund, Ruben Amorim does not see him as the guy that's ready to lead the line for Manchester United next season. So in that sense, I would assume Hojlund's up for sale. But again, we don't even know that for sure. I feel like he will go, but we don't know that for sure. Like, we need a centre forward 100%. 100%. Rasmus could turn it around elsewhere. Maybe a loan would be good, get his value up. But I think Rasmus is going to have a good career, but it's not going to be at Man United if he wants a good career. Yeah, we're going to talk about Rashford and a few stories in a second. But I wanted to dive into some things that had been said by Court Offside via One Football. It basically been said that Ekitike is being monitored by United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, which is likely true. I think Liverpool and Chelsea probably have the strongest interest out of those two clubs. It was said because Arsenal focused on Sesko and Gyökeres, United are quite focused on Delap, Chelsea seem quite focused on Ekitike and Delap. I'm not sure if Newcastle want to spend that much on a striker unless Isak left. But it was said that United are believed to be in the advanced stages of internal planning for a formal bid. But Liverpool could threaten the deal despite United pushing hard behind the scenes under Aaron. And Ekitike is seen as a high upside striker option across the Premier League. Now, a lot of Premier League players like the guy. It's obviously a risk physically. You know, Bundesliga players can do well. They come to the Premier League like Werner and they're shite. Or they can be like Haaland and Marmoush and show that they're good players. I like Ekitike. I think he's a good player. I think he's better than Sesko from what I've seen. Obviously, had that good goal versus Tottenham Hotspur as well. But I'm going to be honest. Apparently, United are at advanced stages. They are planning a bid. They really like the player, and they're working hard behind the scenes for the player. I don't think that's true, considering we've got a 30 million agreement with Ipswich for Delap, and we've offered personal terms to Delap. I think if Delap rejects us, I think we will try for Ekitike. Am I saying his name right? I don't know. I think if Delap rejects us, we'll try, we'll push, we'll go for him. But I don't know if we want to spend the reported £65 million that it's going to take to get him. There was reports of 85 million, but apparently 65 million is what they'd sell for. I don't know if we want to spend 65 million on a young striker that, while he's been very good, he's still, I wouldn't say, proven, and we've made that mistake with Hojlund. So while I like Ekitike and while I think he's a good player, it's a risk. I don't think United are preparing a bid because we're working on Delap and Gyökeres. I don't think it's as advanced as being reported that we're looking at the guy. I think Manchester United's name has probably been thrown into the mix by an agent to maybe hurry Liverpool up, or maybe hurry Arsenal up, or maybe hurry Chelsea up. I think he could go to Chelsea or Liverpool, and I feel like United's name could be getting used. Despite rumours that you were going to make a surprise bid and we're planning a surprise bid, I personally don't believe it. And if I was you guys, I probably wouldn't believe the story. Am I echoing? I apologise if I'm echoing. What's wrong with the sound? A few people have said there's an echo. So I can further away from the mic. Is that better? Yeah, so someone said Court Offside's got it. Court Offside, basically, the way I'd explain it is Court Offside get Romano on sometimes and some good journalists on sometimes, and they bring out some good information. But other times, Court Offside have these unknown journalists on that spit crap. So the problem with Court Offside is sometimes it's good, sometimes it's crap. More so often, probably crap. But yeah. But they said something interesting as well from a better source via Court Offside about Marcus Rashford. So I want to get into that and that story. What's the latest on Mbeumo? People are asking. United are in the race. United like Mbeumo. But there's competition and we might need to sell to buy him. And we're hoping Garnacho goes. But we like Mbeumo. There's interest. It'll be £50 million if we want him. But interestingly, this was said as well through a much better source of information off the One Football app, the People's Person. They said that Ineos want Ruben Amorim to hold talks with Marcus Rashford of a possible United return. And again, part of this came from Give Me Sports, not Court Offside. And it was sort of suggested that Amorim may be forced to reinstate Rashford due to his financial pressure. After the Europa League final defeat, United's transfer flexibility is now limited, apparently. Obviously, Amorim did this big press conference today saying, we're limited here, we're limited there, blah, 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 blah. Our manager says that every summer that we can't do this and we can't do that in the summer, and we still end up spending, so that doesn't worry me. But Amorim is set to meet with Wilcox, Brada and the recruitment team to discuss key squad decisions. Obviously, Garnacho's been told to leave. Anana's been told to leave. They want Luke Shaw gone. We know all of that. Anthony, Rashford, Sancho, Garnacho, obviously in the plans to leave. Malacia, they want to move on. Casemiro, Amarin likes, but the hierarchy want to move on because of wages. There's going to be a big recruitment meeting once he gets back from tour. But Rashford's future apparently is going to be a big talking point in these meetings, because now they've got to kick Garnacho out. Could they bring Rashford back? Well, now we've got to kick Garnacho out. At the end of the day, Marcus Rashford, what went down with Amarin was more due to his habit of being late rather than him having a bit of, like, speaking out against the manager. You know, while it was not the best relationship between Amarin and Rashford, it's a lot more fixable than Amarin and Garnacho right now, because Rashford never disrespected the manager publicly. They had a little bit of private squabble. But it said that Rashford's future is going to be a major talking point in these meetings, and Amarin could be compelled to settle the differences with Rashford to reintegrate him. Garnacho's already been told to find a new club in the summer. Now, my first official thoughts are, I don't think Amarin's going to change his mind on Rashford. I don't think he's going to reintegrate Rashford. I think this is peacekeeping. So this is what we did with Sancho. We knew that Erik ten Hag and Sancho's relationship was effed, and we basically took Sancho on tour. Sancho played on tour. He played in the Community Shield game, and then adios, Sancho was out. Sancho temporarily made up with Ten Hag, knowing he was going to leave, but the club said to Sancho, look, you've got to make up with Ten Hag, put this behind you, go on pre-season, start playing minutes for United, because then that way it's going to be easier for us to get rid of you. So I think because everybody knows that everyone knows that Amarin and Garnacho's relationship is screwed, now all of a sudden we're going to get 10 million less for Garnacho. Whereas with Sancho and Ten Hag, we tried to make out that they'd made up. So we weren't going to get mugged off for Sancho in the summer window. Teams are like, okay, Erik ten Hag will use Sancho next season, so we've actually got to give Manchester United an actual bid this summer to get Sancho on loan with an obligation to buy. So that's obviously what happened with Sancho. I think with Rashford, I think he'll go on pre-season. I think he will play under Ruben Amorim on pre-season, but then I think he'll be shipped off like Sancho. I think Rashford is Sancho 2.0. Garnacho, the relationship's done. Everybody knows that. Teams are going to take advantage of that. Let's now act like, Rashford and Amarin's relationship is fixed, so we can get better offers coming for Rashford in the summer and sell Rashford. I think Amarin won't use Rashford next season. I think Rashford will be gone in the summer. But I think there will be pressure on Amarin and Rashford to make up, put it behind them, and go on pre-season tour together, like the Sancho situation. But I think the goal is for Rashford to go. I don't think Ruben Amorim wants Rashford involved next season. And I think with Ruben Amorim, once he's made his mind up on a player, he's made his mind up on a player. I don't think there's a way back for Garnacho. I don't think there's a way back for Rashford. But that being said, we thought there wasn't a way back for Casemiro. And now his boy Ugarte from Sporting is on the bench, not seen minutes the last 3 games, whereas Casemiro was playing every week. So, whenever we think someone's untouchable under Ruben Amorim, are they really untouchable? That's the big question. Sancho is in Premier League level? I mean, that's the question. I thought Sancho was one of the best signings we made in years at the time, and actually he was the worst. He's just not done it in the Premier League. We've not seen the Dortmund Sancho in the Premier League. Do you think Amorim could use Rashford next season? No. I think they could make up, and Amarin could use Rashford and he could be on the bench a bit here and there. If Rashford didn't go in the summer, I think Rashford's very professional in that sense. I don't think it's going to be, all right, we don't sell Rashford, so now he's just going to not play football at all for 6 months. I think it's more that Amarin has made his mind up on Rashford. He doesn't want Rashford next season, but they probably maybe mutually just say, right, let's mutually go on pre-season, and then I'm going to go be sold at the end of the summer, like Sancho. Whereas with Garnacho, I think it's done. Like, I honestly think Garnacho, even if he's here in 2 months' time, I could see him being dropped from pre-season tour with just the way it's been suggested. I feel like it's more gone. Do you think there's rumours of Sancho to Leverkusen, but Ten Hag is there, so that's never going to happen. Send Onana and send Hojlund to Leverkusen, everyone's saying. Any news on goalkeeper? So, in regards to the goalkeeper news, it is very much like, well, Baindy is expected to go. We're going to get second keeper in. The second keeper is expected to push Onana. Onana's been told to look for a new club. There's interest in Saudi. The only way we're selling Onana is if he goes to Saudi. If we sell Onana, we'll sign a first-team keeper. It's more likely Baindy goes and we get a second-team keeper to push Onana. But look, there's a real strong possibility Onana stays, but he has been told to look for a new club, and Ruben Amorim does want a goalkeeper. But it's difficult to sell Onana because he's got a £26 million book value, and we don't want to take a loss in regards to PSR. Anyway, let's get into some more news. A lot of people have been talking about Cherki, but he could be going to Manchester City. They obviously bottled the deal for... Well, I say they bottled the deal for Wirtz. Wirtz just didn't want to go to them. Manchester City are interested in Cherki and informed on exit cost details. He's on the shortlist with Morgan Gibbs-White, and there's still other 2 highly rated names on there. So Man City are working on a deal for Reinders. Manchester City are probably going to get a deal done for Reinders, which, yeah, does make me quite jealous. What a number 8 signing. But Manchester City also want a number 10 signing, and that number 10 signing is going to potentially be Morgan Gibbs-White, potentially be Cherki, particularly with his ability to play out wide. That could be one to watch. Now, why am I talking about Manchester City news? You may be thinking it's a Manchester United show. You're absolutely correct. Because we've been linked to Cherki. You know, if Arsenal do sign Gyökeres, then I will talk about Gyökeres to Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? If Arsenal did go out there and sign Gyökeres, I'd talk about Gyökeres to Arsenal because I'd be like, the deal was off. Delap goes to Chelsea, I'll talk about Chelsea to Delap. So with Cherki, well, that's just because he's been linked to Manchester United. So look, I think he could go to City. I think he could go to anywhere. There's nothing done. There's nothing advanced. But we haven't really had much in regards to Cherki to United other than some basic links because he's available for a decent price. There's nothing like concrete linking Cherki to Man United. Cunha and Cherki would not have worked anyway. You want one or the other because they're quite similar. And Mbeumo works a lot better because Cherki doesn't have the best work rate. And Cherki and Cunha, with the lack of work rate, it wouldn't both work at United. I think Cherki and Mbeumo is what we want. I'm dreaming of Mbeumo. I'm dreaming of Mbeumo, honestly. Like, I don't really care what happens with Liam Delap. If he goes to Chelsea, he goes to Chelsea. But I am dreaming of Mbeumo. So there's more updates coming in that Bruno Fernandez has 72 hours to respond to Al Hilal. We were told that 2 days ago that he had 72 hours to respond. We're also being told today 72 hours to respond. But Chris Wheeler and Ben Jacobs have both said that Bruno's been offered $700k a week at Al Hilal and bonuses. And apparently the Saudi club want an answer by Thursday. But United want to keep Bruno. So there is talk of Bruno leaving, so that could be one to watch. Rich Fay said that we still have interest in Branthwaite, but I assume that isn't anywhere near the top of the list because it shouldn't be near the top of the list, despite him being a good player. And Pellegrini, obviously Real Betis manager, keeps talking about Anthony, but he's saying, you know, it'd be really hard to get a £100 million player. He's a great player. He's had a good time at Betis, improving his career. Betis is still playing this, oh, we can't buy Anthony, feel sorry for us game. You can afford Anthony. Anthony for £30 million, you can afford it. You know it's Manchester United. You want to see if you can get Anthony on loan. You want to see if you can get Anthony on a cheap for another season. But look, this club, Atletico are interested in Anthony. Juventus are interested in Anthony, which should push his price up. Considering how good Anthony's been on loan, we should be able to get 32.5 million for Anthony, considering how good he's been on loan. Real Betis won't pay that, but I guarantee you this. If Juventus put in a 30 million bid for Anthony, I think Real Betis would put in a 30 million bid for Anthony. I really do. I think it's Betis playing, we can't buy Anthony to see if they can get him on loan. But anyway, listen, people, I'm going to wrap up today's show here. I'm going to redirect you to United Cass's channel. So go and give Cass a raid. Go and give him some support. He's going to talk about the Bruno stories in more detail. Big up everyone for watching. See you next time. Bye.